Hi everybody. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how to talk nicer to yourself. This is incredibly important because we have thoughts in our heads all the time. Sometimes we even say them out loud because they're so overwhelming. But either way, these thoughts are ridiculously powerful. So in this video, I'm going to focus on sharing with you how you can alter your self-talk so that you can have a more productive lifestyle as well as a happier one. So like I previously mentioned, self-talk is those things that we're saying to ourselves, whether it's outward, inward, it doesn't matter. They can be positive or they can be negative. If someone is very optimistic, chances are they're going to talk to themselves in like an excited manner. They're going to be really into what they're doing. It's going to be quite hopeful. If someone is negative with their self-talk, it's going to be more like degrading. Like, wow, I can't believe you did that. Like, oh, it's so upsetting. Like, you're such a bad person. That's not good. So we're going to focus on identifying that negative self-talk and then taking our focus and rearranging it into that positive self-talk, because positive self-talk has a lot of mental benefits as well as healthy benefits. So I want to go over some examples, and these are negative self-talk examples. So without further ado, an example could be, I will disappoint literally everybody. Or, I failed, I'm so embarrassed of myself. Or, I've done this before and I know I'm bad at it, I'm not even going to try. So, knowing these examples, sometimes I think it could be pretty easy to identify when you're not being nice to yourself. And something that I like to tell myself is I like to treat myself as if I am my little sister when I'm nice to her, nice to both of them. So basically I try to tell myself, if I'm going through something and I'm struggling, and if my little sister were going through that same thing and she came to me and asked me for advice, what would I tell her? Would I tell her these not nice things that I'm telling myself right now? Or would I be more gentle with her? Would I be more willing with her? More, more easy and more allowing for time to make things work out rather than just being upset that something's not working right now. Either way, I'd like you to think about that and think about your thoughts and try to consider what it would be like if you were talking to someone that you love, who came to you for advice. Would you talk to them how you're currently talking to yourself? Now, it is really important to identify these negative self-talks because sometimes the battles that we're going through are lost before they even begin. As for an example for that, sometimes we basically are guaranteeing that we're going to lose something because we're so negative in our heads that we won't even allow ourselves to try. There have been studies done with athletes, and when they talk outwardly to themselves and talk to themselves in third person, actually, they are much more likely to perform better than they are if they're only talking to themselves internally, as if they would say, like, I can do this, but if they say, like, you can do this, it's much more effective. And on top of that, their performance is much better than if they were to just be negative about it from the get-go. So that's something important to keep in mind. Obviously, we're not all athletes trying to do a certain task. We're not all trying to like shoot 3-pointers or something, but either way, we're all trying to get through certain things. So it's very important that we set ourselves up to succeed, or at least trying to succeed. So what to do when we take these negative self-talk concepts? How do we translate them into being positive? Okay, so sometimes when people think of positive, they can be like, oh, like it's so over the top, that's not me. That's okay. It doesn't have to be you. All you have to consider is the fact that you just have to allow yourself to try. And when you put yourself in that headspace and you say, I might not be that good at this, but I'm going to try, or I will allow myself to see how this goes. I will allow myself time and patience. Patience is a big thing here. Being able to shift instead of just being like, absolutely not, to let's see how it goes. You don't have to be good at everything, but you can try something. And once again, you can be patient with yourself. And I really would like to circle this back to how I would think I would talk to my little sister if she came to me. Would I tell her, like, oh, you absolutely cannot do this thing that you're really frustrated about? Or would I tell her, hey, like, let's try to reapproach it from a different angle. Let's try to think of something else that we can do to make it work instead of just being very down on yourself. And the examples that I'm giving, I know they're like kind of broad, but that's not the point. The whole point is that it's really easy to shift how you're thinking, and the first step isn't necessarily going to be to change these thoughts right away. I know it's not going to happen. The first step needs to be you realizing that you're having these thoughts and then being like, okay, I need to shift them. And then step 2 would be to be talking to yourself in that different light, in that different manner. And that is going to be much, much healthier for you, both mentally and physically. I'm so sorry, my computer died. Okay, so anyways, being nicer to yourself helps reduce pain, and it also helps increase cardiovascular health. Overall, you'll have a better physical well-being. You'll also be less stressed and then have less distress, and then it also decreases your risk of death. So I think through all of those things that we should try to be nicer to ourselves, and in addition to being nice to other people, once again, focusing here, be patient with yourself, allow yourself to try new things. Don't knock something right off the bat. Don't knock it until you at least try it once, okay? So I hope that everyone learned from this. Please let me know if there's anything else you want me to deep dive into. I'm really excited for these how-tos, and I will see you next week.